This podcast is brought to you by absolutely no one. We have no sponsors and no one cares. Hey guys, and welcome back to, welcome back, it's the first episode of the Movie Mates podcast. So today it's me, Matthew, and my wonderful co-host,
Callum,
yes. So we decided just to do a podcast because we love listening to them. I know Callum and I listen to a good number of podcasts, maybe 5.
Oh, I'd say definitely more than that.
More
All Australian, weirdly.
Yeah. I like true crime podcast, probably my favourite. Obviously, The Weekly Planet is one that we both like.
Planet Broadcasting.
Planet Broadcasting in general.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, do go on as well. It's a personal favourite of both of ours. Callum introduced me to it. But we're basically going to give you a brief rundown of why we like movies and what they mean to us, and specifically what the MCU means to us, because that is going to be our first topic today. So Callum, I'll let you take that away, buddy.
Well, I just feel we both grew up as very nerdy children. We're big fans of comics, Comic-Con. We see every superhero film, the day it releases, and I just thought for our first podcast, the MCU would be something that best represents us. I'm sorry if I sound a little stilted in this one. I'm still a little nervous. This is, as we said, the first episode. So I think. I think we should just get right into it. Oh yeah, definitely. So as I say, we're both huge into movies, specifically comic book movies, and as Callum said, he hit it right on the nail on the head there. We love the MCU. So essentially, we're going to give you a brief rundown of each movie, what we like about them, what we don't like, actors, actresses, effects, stuff like that. So Callum, I'll let you take it away then with Iron Man in 2008. So this film is directed by Jon Favreau. It is one of my personal favorites.
Mm-hmm,
I love every single character in it. Maybe minus Gwyneth Paltrow.
Do you not like Gwyneth Paltrow?
I don't like Gwyneth Paltrow.
I think she's quite good.
Do you?
Yeah. I mean.
I think Pepper Potts though is like the most girlfriend of the girlfriend roles.
Yeah, her main purpose is to serve as Tony Stark's
personal assistant.
Suitor. Yeah.
Yeah. Like she doesn't really get any character growth. Although one big highlight of the film is Obadiah Stane.
He built this in a cave with a box of scraps.
That is without doubt one of my favourite lines of all time. Yeah. And it's 2008 and the effects still hold up. That's shocking to me.
Yeah.
Because you look at more recent films, we'll be talking about the DC films next time, but like looking at Steppenwolf in that film, and then looking back,
it's no comparison.
Looking back at 2008 to even like the Mark 1 armor, it's night and day. That is excellent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my personal view on Iron Man is it was my first sort of super. I don't want to say it's the first superhero movie I watched because it wasn't, but it's definitely one of the first few. I really like Robert Downey Jr. People say it was his comeback role. You told me the other week it wasn't. It was Tropic Thunder.
I don't know which came out first, but Tropic Thunder I think more perfectly represents his breadth as an actor. As Tony Stark, I think he plays himself quite often.
Yeah, it's definitely a matter of him playing himself, not him
being paid $25 million.
Yeah. Certainly one of the better aspects of first Iron Man is the story. It sort of kick-started what is the most successful film franchise.
Yeah. And
I don't think they could have done that without Robert Downey Jr. And I think Jon Favreau's direction is inspired because obviously he's made a name for himself as Happy Hogan in the movies, but I think what really kick-started his career was directing that first Iron Man movie. I don't know what you think of the villain in Obadiah Stane. You mentioned that, about the box of scraps. It was a classic line.
Classic, yeah.
And what do you like Obadiah Stane in that?
I think he's very generic looking back, but I think those kind of character tropes would have you wouldn't notice that it was kind of a generic character in 2008. So I think we kind of have to look at it from that perspective rather than after having seen all those films.
Yeah.
When you look at the Iron Man film, the story is obviously excellent, but it did really pave the groundwork for the Marvel formula. So there are things that you see happen in that film that happen in every film, but if you think of it as the first to do it, it is excellent.
Oh yeah. The only one criticism I have with it is that Obadiah Stane goes mad for no reason. I think he gets sort of power hungry, and then that causes him to just, I don't know, what is it, Kevin? That's Kevin Bridges.
Yeah, Kevin.
Kevin.
Sorry, Jeff Bridges.
Jeff. I don't know why I got confused between Kevin Bacon and Jeff Bridges. No, Jeff Bridges is great. I've seen him in quite a few movies now, and he's a really, very talented actor. But
rocks a bald head.
He rocks the fish there as well.
Yeah.
He also rocks a box of scraps. Also, one thing I like about the first Iron Man is the armor. Like, it's quite, it's not overly CG, but it's definitely has a realistic vibe to it, which I think BHL covered it in a video, a Q&A, where he said about Iron Man's later armors were more CGI and they
look faker and faker.
Oh yeah. Especially as much as I love the Infinity War one, it doesn't look as good as the original Mark III.
No, the more advanced they get, the more ridiculous they look.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about CGI in later films, but yeah, it has taken a bit of a dip. There was one more point that I was gonna lay down.
Well,
you pad.
I'll fill it in. Basically, one of the things that Iron Man did really well was I'm editing this out. It's our first podcast, okay? We're sorry.
If he doesn't edit this out, we're sorry.
I'm not going to. Okay, basically, what I was going to say was the thing that Iron Man does really well is balance his characters. So, got obviously Robert Downey Jr., Rudy, next time, baby.
Of course.
Of course. I really hope this podcast doesn't get popular because that is just going to be an instant meme. But obviously, Rhodey, you've got Pepper Potts, we've discussed, we've got Obadiah Stane, we've got the 10 Rings, which that opening cave scene, it's not really an opening scene, but the cave scene with,
It does open with that.
Does it?
Yeah, it opens with the 10 Rings scene and then flashes back to how he got there.
What's the Hungarian guy's name?
Which his name's like Svensson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Something like. I really like his character. I don't know why, but he was on. I think he. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he makes a cameo in Iron Man 3, doesn't he?
He does. Yeah.
In the flashback scene.
We'll talk about it.
Oh, we will. Oh, yeah. In this episode.
But yeah, what I was just gonna say was, like, I respect that Marvel was able to, take like
a B-list character.
A B-list character, and they were able to make changes, and people didn't complain because they did it so well.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Like Jarvis was always a British butler, and they were able to make him a computer program. And
Paul Bettany's voice is soothing, to say the least. It's really nice.
Yeah. Did you know like he hasn't seen Iron Man? Like
what?
No, I watched an interview for Avengers Age of Ultron, and he just said like
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, he literally said like he was talking about how good a director Jon Favreau was, and he was like, I mean, I haven't seen Iron Man.
He's like, it's that good. I haven't seen the film.
No. He said like they cut me a check. I recorded it. I emailed it to them. Like
I was there for the paycheck. I got out of there.
Yeah, like I don't think he met Robert Downey Jr. until the premiere, which I respect almost.
If you were gonna give first Iron Man a rating out of 10, what would you give it?
I would give it an 8.
I would give it. I'd give it an 8. I think it sort of falters towards the end, but in terms of comic book movies in general, it certainly holds its own as being like a staple of modern superhero movies. So on that, I'd definitely give it an 8. Yeah. Any favourite moments from the film?
I mean, this is entirely irrelevant to what we're talking about right now, but currently we're sharing a mic, and Matthew is laid atop a beanbag, and I am in the Burt Reynolds like bearskin rug position. And I have my curtains open, and I'm worried that my neighbours are going to witness this.
No, don't worry, they are.
But,
hello, Fiona. I don't know who Fiona is. We don't know. I made that up.
I have to say the box of scrap scene, and just whenever as soon as he gets home from the terrorist ring, he just says,
I want a burger.
I want an American cheeseburger.
Yeah, that's definitely probably the best line in the MCU is the box of scraps.
Yeah,
it's
definitely up there.
Favourite moment of the film for me is probably when he constructs the Mark 1 armour.
Oh, I really like
that scene. And the score for Iron Man's fantastic, and also you can't go wrong with a bit of AC/DC in black.
Oh, that score when he just goes into that city and kills all those people.
The Golmira fight scene is quite good. I think it's quite good. The bit I unintentionally laughed at was like when Iron Man like leaves the terrorist, and then all the people start like kicking him and like start beating him up.
But also, did you notice he targets like 4 terrorists and shoots them with missiles, but the missiles don't explode.
Yeah, they just like darts.
They just cut through them and they die.
Yeah.
Which was confusing to me.
Yeah, so if we're having any concluding points about the first film in the MCU, I would say 8 out of 10. Great film, great starter film for for what is as I mentioned, the most successful franchise. Callum, any concluding thoughts?
No, you summed it up very well.
So
I feel like the next one's going to be briefer.
The next one's going to be a lot briefer, considering Marvel like to forget it ever happened. Yeah. The Incredible Hulk, Callum, take us away. I feel like I'm going very presenter. I'll stop. Callum,
yes.
Incredible Hulk.
So released in 2008, directed by Louis Leterrier.
Not Lee Ferrigno.
A fact that Matthew did not know until an hour ago.
I'm ashamed as you are, listeners, all one of you. That's me.
So going in the same structure, the characters, I hate them.
I really like
the worst.
I really Betty is annoying. Liv Tyler as Betty Ross is probably
Liv Tyler can't act.
Oh, she's okay.
She's
okay in the movie, but her character is really pretty written, I think.
Yeah.
But I think the best part of the movie is Edward Norton to me. I think he's really good. He's just very comic accurate Bruce Banner.
He is very comic accurate, yeah.
Even though I don't know what face surgery he had to transform into Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
But no, if we're going to go for positives first...
Also, irrelevant again, I will kill you if this is not recording.
Yeah, it is, don't worry.
Okay.
Oh no, it stopped. No, it hasn't. So, yeah, favourite thing about the film, or positives, I like the look of this Hulk. I think it's more realistic. The CGI is garbage.
Are you serious?
I think he looks good.
I think he looks like a gross anorexic little boy.
He looks like an ogre.
Yeah, like he just looks like Shrek, like beefed up slightly.
Yeah, he does.
And put on a Donald Trump style toupee.
I'm editing out that laugh. Yeah, it was horrendous.
No, you have such a beautiful laugh. Such
thanks,
beauty.
But
nice I think it looks. I think the Hulk looks genuinely awful.
I think he looks good.
His nips are way too, like.
yeah. Before you finish that, you've been spending way too much time looking at the Hulk's nips.
No, but like, do you not notice like
he's a bit veiny? I'll give you that.
Yeah, he's like, I always say I want to beef up, and I want
your Hulk.
I want like beefy abs and beefy pecs.
You want your Hulk medium well.
Yeah,
not well done.
No, I don't want the way that I feel the Hulk is, where he's so thin that his abs are just exposed. Like it reminds me of like the description of Frankenstein in the novel.
Yeah.
Like where his skin is just like barely stretched over his like pathetic muscles.
Pathetic wretch, you might say.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So positives from the film from me: Edward Norton, Tim Roth.
Oh yeah, I would like to take back that I hate all the characters.
Yeah.
Because Tim Roth. The Abomination is an abomination. He looks like utter dog shit. But the acting by Tim Roth, like Tim Roth is actually great.
Is that it? Is that all you've got? And he gets kicked into a tree.
I think it's mostly the accent. But the acting by Tim Roth, like Tim Roth is actually great.
Is that it? Is that all you've got? And he gets kicked into a tree.
I think it's mostly the accent.
Yeah.
Like that is what convinces me.
Also, one character that the MCU have seemed to continue with is Jonathan Ross.
Yeah.
Which I think he's quite good. Is it William? No, it's not William.
It is William.
William Hurt.
Yeah.
I always get confused.
Between him and John Hurt.
Between him, John Hurt, Charlie Cox, Matt Cox. we'll skip it.
Yeah.
But no, I think he's good. I think Liv Tyler's Betty Ross, a little annoying. Whoever that is, the guy who plays Mole Man in Fantastic, and also the leader.
Give me a second. It's
Nelson something.
Yeah, it's We'll get back to
it. We'll get back to it.
Tim Blake Nelson.
Yeah, Tim Blake Nelson. Also, legend has it Callum's still thinking of his point from Iron Man 1.
No, I said it.
Okay.
Yeah, but Tim Blake Nelson, he is not a great actor, but I would really like to see him as the leader.
Yeah, the CGI on the leader and the Abomination is garbage.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It has I think the movie does Hulk right. Like I think Hulk the transformations are at least realistic.
Yeah.
But then also the end fight's a bit of a brawl, but it just upsets me that they don't reference it in Luke Cage, considering it takes place in Harlem.
Well, they definitely they show it on a newspaper.
Do they?
It might I think in Daredevil.
Oh.
In Ben Urich's office.
But any particular favorite moments from the film?
None.
Did you hate it that much?
We didn't get onto the story, which I think is
the story is so generic.
It's so
Bruce
boring.
Banner. Yeah.
It's it starts off with him on the run in Brazil, and then
good scene.
Him just like accidentally like.
Can we talk about?
He's just like accidentally like being a peeping tom and like a changing Brazilian woman.
Can we also talk about that? Who's the really annoying guy at his work? He's like he's
just such a prick.
Guy, yeah.
He like gets his goons to attack him because he's like looking at his girlfriend wrong or something. No,
but Bruce Banner is a bit of a creep there.
He is a bit of a creep, yeah. But like Edward
Norton
looks like one, to be fair.
What? I think Edward Norton's a nice guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
I think he's good in Red Dragon.
Is he?
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with that. We'll talk about that if we do a serial killer episode.
We will.
I love me a bit of Hannibal Lecter.
Me too, actually.
Yeah.
Obviously, we do not condone their actions. We completely,
yes.
Condemn them. Anyway, going on to the Incredible Hulk. If we're going to give it a rating, what would you give it out of 10?
I would give it a 3 out of 10.
3? I'd give it a 7. I quite like it. I think it's better than Ang Lee's Hulk.
Oh, it's better than Ang Lee's Hulk. I wouldn't even rate that as a film.
No, I
don't know if that counts.
If we're going to talk about Ang Lee's Hulk, we have to at least make fun of Gamma Dogs. Like, what was that? Yeah. What was he thinking?
Also,
a Gamma Poodle.
I didn't know until you told me that was meant to be the Absorbing Man. That's ridiculous.
That's dumb. Real dumb.
It is real dumb.
I like the comic panels, but they do not age well. I'll give them that.
No, it's not directed well. Did you know? This is completely off topic. But did you know Ang Lee performed the CGI for the Hulk character?
Did he?
Like he was just like prancing around like slapping tanks.
Anyway, but I'd give the Hulk a 7.
I'd give it maybe a 4 because it's still a film.
Yeah.
And it's not my least favorite in the MCU. We'll get onto that.
There's one that you hate more than that.
There's one that I hate more than that.
Okay. Well. My favourite moment from the film is probably the brawl at the university. I think it's quite good.
That's the closest thing to a good scene. Because
Yeah.
I do like Tim Roth. He has quite a small part, like as his human form, but yeah, I quite like him.
So next movie is Iron Man 2, the sequel to the critically acclaimed Iron Man 1, obviously.
Yeah.
So what do you think of that, Callum? Do you like it?
Well, we have just got on to the one that I hate more than the Incredible Hulk.
Bored.
It is. No,
People are not gonna get that.
I don't think you said it loud enough. I think you should whisper it.
Bored.
Bored.
No,
it is one of the worst films I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's
so generous to call it a film. Like I'll
come on, it's not that bad.
No, I'll give them like the effects are great, and like Mickey Rourke is just a horrific actor, isn't he?
He snaps a guy's neck.
Does he exist? Like he just seems like such an elusive figure. Like I don't know if I believe he exists.
People are gonna think we're like sadistic maniacs laughing at this. Like there's a scene in a prison where like he snaps the guy's neck and then asks for a bird.
And then he doesn't he burn the prison down? Yeah.
It just blows up for some reason.
No, it's just the entire plot of the film makes no sense to me.
Yeah,
it's 3 different films slapped together. You know, when like Tony finds like the plans for the unobtainium.
He's dying for some reason.
He's dying for some reason. Like
his father doesn't love him.
God, I relate.
Jesus.
Ooh.
I'm so editing this out.
No, leave it in. But yeah, no, it's just it doesn't feel like one cohesive film.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the characters are much the same as Iron Man. I don't hate anyone in it except Mickey Rourke. But he is hilarious.
I think who's the guy that plays Justin Hammer? Sam Rockwell.
Yeah. I really like him.
I really like him in that. Although I'm not sure if they intentionally like spray tanned him way too much because he's orange.
Is quite orange.
He's so orange.
He is kind of a discount Tony Stark, but I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Because I the part of the film where it is Whiplash, as kind of just another version of Ironmonger, that's kind of the part that I find most boring.
Oh yeah.
But I quite like when a villain is just kind of a corporate head of a company.
Yeah.
Or the head of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh.
Maybe.
One thing I liked about, we'll get into this later, but how the congressman is Hydra.
Oh,
I thought it was quite good.
Gary Shandling.
Is that the actor or the character?
That's the actor.
Okay.
Gary Shandling.
He is quite good in that movie. Well, Iron Man 2... No. Iron Man 2 is... I quite like it. I think it's got a charm to it. Like, it knows it's not going to be as good as the original. Jon Favreau knows this. But it's still I think it's still okay. I think there are some nothing scenes, if you get me. Like, some of it is just blatant product placement.
Yeah, and also there's a weird underlying plot line where Black Widow is pretending to be Tony's new personal assistant.
Yeah, that is
and she's
weird.
changed her name slightly.
Yeah, and then Tony creepily looks up photos of her on the internet, buys Pepper some strawberries, and then
I don't blame him
for the first part.
Part.
Also, you quite like strawberries.
Oh yeah.
Next part. Next part for me.
I forgot about the strawberries part. That's so weird.
It's weird. I quite like the Tony Stark and Anthony Stark dynamic, like his father.
Oh, do you mean what's his name? Howard Stark.
Howard Stark. I'm editing that out.
Yeah.
I'm not going
No,
to
you're not
because
going
it'll
to.
be funnier. No, I quite like it. Is that a different actor than the one in Civil War?
It's the same one as Civil War.
Different one to Agent Carter.
John Slattery, different one to Agent Carter.
But
and First Avenger.
I do quite like the dynamic there. Like, there's quite an emotional scene relative, and then he creates an element. Phil Coulson's in there for some reason. There's a replica of Captain America's shield in the background.
Great, yeah.
Yeah, I felt like Jon Favreau's like, we need to get this in to make the fans love us.
No, I don't blame Jon Favreau at all, because if you think about it, it was less than 2 years after the first film, and I think he had at least 3 years to make Iron Man. So I think he just needed more time. I don't think he was fully responsible for writing this one either.
Yeah.
So I don't blame him for the faults of the film.
The effects, like most MCU movies, and I say most because we'll get into Black Panther later, is good. Like, the effects are quite good.
Yeah, I have no issue with the effects. Maybe Whiplash. Whiplash looks
is
a bit weird. Odd. Also, his face is a bit odd, isn't it?
Yeah, Mickey Rourke is just odd.
Yeah.
Favorite scene, Callum? What's your favorite scene?
Oh,
if you had to pick one.
Get back to me, please.
Get back to me.
Yeah.
Mine is probably the Iron Man War Machine team up against the Hammer drones. I think that's pretty good.
Oh, the laser scene.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a bit of a nothing scene. I've said that before. I'll probably say it again because there's no real stakes in it because they're androids. But other than that, I think the CGI is good. It's quite gritty. It's quite dark for an MC movie. And yeah, I just quite like that scene.
No, I'll say because it's so shit.
Yeah.
The scene where they're like in an aircraft hangar and Justin Hammer's like eating ice cream,
yeah.
And I think that's the first time that Rourke asks for his bird.
Yeah.
I like that scene is probably my favorite. I like most of the scenes with I like most of the scenes with Sam Rockwell.
Yeah.
No, what were we gonna say, Matthew?
I was gonna say there's a really weird scene where like Black Widow finds out that Mickey Rourke's character Whiplash, Ivan Vanko, is working with Hammer, and then like and then it cuts to like Whiplash is in the room, and then there's like two guards like hanging from the ceiling for whatever reason. It was quite weird, quite dark. It is a much darker film.
I'll be honest, I haven't seen the film in about 6 years.
No, I haven't seen it in a while, but from what I remember, that scene was in it. But one thing which we mentioned with we mentioned with the Congressman was how young Peter Parker's in the movie.
Oh yeah, they retconned that.
Yeah, I quite like that.
He's actually he's played by Jon Favreau's son.
Oh, is that Jon Favreau's son?
Yeah, Max, his name. Yeah, I find that really cool, actually.
Yeah, I quite like that.
Like, Tom Holland confirmed that about 2 years ago.
Just how much Kevin Feige looks like my dad.
Well, I was the one that pointed it out to you, yes.
Once or twice.
I think it's mostly the height. If your dad shaved his
if he shaved his face.
No, like he's a bit beardy from time to time, and Kevin Feige's always
clean shaven,
clean as a whistle.
Well, if we're gonna give Iron Man 2 a
Please
rating,
don't show this to your dad.
No,
is your dad gonna hear this? Can you bleep what I said?
No. What would you give it? Why do you think it's bad?
I think I was so happy with the first film, and it was such a letdown.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a big factor. I do think I watched the MCU roughly in chronological order. I mean, I don't think I got to Iron Man until 2009, but I had seen it before I saw Iron Man 2, and I was so let down.
Yeah.
I was so disappointed. Yeah.
Yeah, I would give it a 5. I think it's got quality in there. It's certainly not as good as the first, but I suppose it is hard to, make it as good as what some many consider to be a masterpiece.
Yeah.
But next movie, moving on, is Thor 2011.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I have very few thoughts on Thor.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of it's very mediocre.
Thor is a bit of a film where, like, it doesn't feel like a superhero film to me. It just feels like a bit of a mishmash of... Obviously, it's a Shakespearean director in...
Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah. But it's a bit of a weird film to me. Like, there's not many memorable scenes.
No, there's a lot of elements that, like, when I hear another review of it, I completely forgot that they were in it. Mm-hmm. All the acting is sound. Yeah. All the writing is...
Too many Dutch angles.
Yeah, the writing is perfectly serviceable. It's just, there's nothing special about it.
Yeah, it is a bit of an average film. Obviously, the casting of Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston is inspired, 100%. Because
have you noticed? Like, I watched the film and I was like, why?
I think it's because they bleached his eyebrows.
I'd seen all the films with Chris Hemsworth, and I went back and I watched Thor, and I was like, what's wrong with his face? I was so confused.
Yeah, obviously I find the Asgardian characters more compelling than their human counterparts. Let's say Natalie Portman, she's a good actress, but I think in Thor, I think she is. I think in Thor, she's probably not used to the best of her ability.
No,
as Jane Foster. I'd like to see if obviously Natalie Portman would have stayed in the MCU, if she would have become Jane Foster Thor, but that's yet to be determined because she's obviously left the franchise.
I think she's gonna come back.
For Endgame?
Yeah, because she dropped out. She was obviously in the first two, and then she dropped out and wasn't in Ragnarok, but then Ragnarok was like, praised critically.
Yeah.
So I think if they make a fourth Thor film, she'll probably try and weasel her way back in.
Oh yeah, well, favorite scene from Thor, Carl?
I quite like the scene where he's cast out of Asgard.
Yeah, that's quite good.
Anthony Hopkins is an excellent actor.
Oh, he's a great Odin.
His delivery is great.
Not in The Last Night.
No, dude.
You want to know, don't you,
dude? That is a horrible film.
Yeah.
I guess I should share this now. Like, I mean, I don't think we're ever going to talk about the Transformers franchise because I hate it.
He hates it so much.
It's just like a 2.5. Like, the Last Night is just a 2.5 hour music video, isn't it?
It is.
With,
the editing is
Mark Wahlberg, like, self-gratifying himself.
I don't like to criticize films because obviously it takes a lot of money, a lot of effort, and a lot of time to create a film. And are we
still talking about Transformers?
We are.
Oh my god.
Obviously, I don't think for any 1 second that I could make a film as good as that. But
really?
It takes a lot of effort.
The multi-gauntlet?
Buy in stores now for £30. No, that movie is bad. It's bad.
Yeah,
I don't usually say I hate a film, but I hate that film.
Yeah.
There's only 3 films I hate. The Last Night, X-Men 3,
really? Okay.
And Green Lantern.
Really?
I really hate Green Lantern.
Do you? I thought we agreed it was just fine.
I rewatched it. I don't like it at all.
I don't think I've seen it since.
It's because Ryan Reynolds. This is off topic.
Very irrelevant.
Very irrelevant. Ryan Reynolds' career has has hit its high point. Like he can go further, obviously, but Deadpool's really did wonders for him.
I mean, it's definitely the best thing he's done. Since The Proposal.
Yeah. I don't mind The Proposal.
No, it's a good movie.
It's quite good.
Yeah.
Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds, good movie.
Yeah. Stay tuned for the rom-com episode, guys.
It's coming, guys. Don't worry. So going back to Thor, my personal favorite scene from it would probably be Frost Giant battle. I think that's quite good. I think they did the Frost Giants very well in that movie.
Yeah, I think they did alright. Mm-hmm. Is it Laufey?
Laufey, yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of a nothing character.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting that Loki's a frost giant because his dad just didn't make an impact
and it's
on
never
the story.
brought up again.
Yeah, it's brought up. Is it brought up like in his death scene in Infinity War?
I don't think so.
Doesn't he say like I'm an Asgardian and also a frost giant?
He might do. I haven't rewatched that film in its entirety since its release, but one thing I will give Thor, it doesn't have many funny scenes that I can make fun of. That's the one thing I don't like about it.
No, one of my favorite scenes was actually a deleted scene, which was Thor and Selvig coming home from the bar, and like Selvig carrying Thor on his shoulder because he got so drunk at the bar. Like, and it just disappoints me that like one of the ones I considered the best scenes was cut.
Yeah.
I think movies do often do that, you know, where they just think, oh, maybe this joke will miss, and it was something I would have found entertaining at least.
One thing Thor does right is the Destroyer. I think that scene when Thor is
Really?
battling I think the CGI is great. I think the look of it is great. Like,
The
I think
CGI
it's
is
really
alright.
comic accurate, and it's huge. Like, it's
Yeah.
humongous, that thing.
But Thor's meant to be like a big cosmic character, and I feel like the end battle is just so small.
Yeah, I feel like Branagh, as much as I do appreciate Branagh, not because he's obviously from Northern Ireland, but because he's done a lot in the film industry,
Yeah.
but I think he doesn't understand Thor and his cosmic roots. Like,
Yeah.
he is an Asgardian character by trait, and because Branagh is a Shakespearean director, he probably grounded it too much.
Yeah, it barely shows Asgard. You know, you
Yeah.
see
You see
Asgard
the
for a
Frostbite,
few
yeah.
minutes, and 80% of the film is on Earth.
Yeah.
Which I think people often had criticisms with. You know, that's the same issue with the He-Man film. What was
I
it?
haven't
It was
seen
called Master of the Universe. I haven't seen it, but yeah, that was a complaint, and that's an obviously similar character, and people were upset that they spent almost no time on Eternia. It was almost completely set on Earth, so that was a similar complaint.
Well, to conclude our thoughts on Thor, what would you give it out of 10?
I'd give it a solid 6. I think it's just nothing special.
I would also give it a 6. I'd say it's
Wow,
good.
fist bump, agree.
Oh, fist bump.
Solid.
Yeah.
Hope the mic picked that
Oh,
up.
it did. There were earthquakes, my
Crisp.
friend. Crisp. So, one thing I'd say about Thor, it's aged well, but it hasn't, because compared to other MCU films, it's not as good. But it was good for when it released. It's 2011. I think superhero films were still figuring themselves out.
Yeah.
So I think it's good.
I think the effects are inarguably good.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
definitely.
they've dated very well.
Costumes are quite good, I think, as well.
Yeah, the Thor look hasn't always been consistent, but I like the look in that first film,
Yeah, definitely.
except for his weird eyebrows, obviously.
Now, moving on to the next film, Captain America: The First Avenger. Callum,
Yeah,
what do you think of that?
directed by Joe Johnston. One of my favorites.
Oh yeah, definitely.
An excellent film in every regard.
Really good film.
You know, I just love it so much. You know, the heroes and villains, the actors, they're all excellent. Chris Evans, what a babe.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
I mean,
Definitely characters are spot on. Chris Evans as Cap,
Yeah.
Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter. We've got Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
He's amazing. Red Skull, who is played by tell me.
Hugo Weaving.
Hugo Weaving. Story of my life. So, yeah, movie's great, action's great, CGI great. One thing I think it's really underrated, the score's really good. The
Yeah, it
musical
is.
soundtrack is great.
It really feels like a war film in that
It
regard.
does, yeah.
You know, I especially like superhero films that are set in the past.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I do like war films from time to time, but if they can ever, you know, set a superhero character in a war setting, I love that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I really like that Captain America is just a genuinely good guy.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. You'd want him to be your friend, wouldn't you? Like, he's a nice
Yeah.
guy.
Like
You'd want him to be your best man at your wedding.
Yeah.
Apart if it wasn't me.
I mean, I hate Tony.
I'm joking.
I mean, I hate Tony Stark as a character.
Really?
Like, he's such a trash person.
A lot of people have just turned off. I say
we'll-
a lot of people. We've got no viewers.
We'll get into this further with Civil War, but I hate Tony Stark. But I love Captain America in every regard.
Did you know? I didn't actually notice this when I first watched it. Do you know in the Star Spangled Man montage, there is like a woman who
I know what you're talking
is
about.
Star-Lord's mum.
Played by the same
Laura
actress.
Haddock?
Laura Haddock.
Laura Haddock.
Yeah, that it could be another instance of just, you know, MCU recasting. You know, Alfred Woodard.
Yeah.
Played Black Mariah, and also, she played, what was her name? The mother of.
Was it Mariah again? No.
No, her name was something Sharp.
Maria Sharp. No.
Miriam Sharp.
Miriam
Yeah,
Sharp.
she played
It
Miriam
was
Sharp.
something like that. It was fine.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, you know, the MCU, you know, sometimes makes mistakes in recasts.
Yeah.
But yeah, there have been fan theories that maybe Ego took Star-Lord's mother like through time.
Oh really?
Yeah, he had the ability. He mastered the ability to use the light that he had on his planet to, conquer space travel.
That's quite interesting.
So people thought potentially he mastered time travel as well, and he brought Star-Lord's mom into the past.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah. I like to think that that's true.
One of the things that blew my mind when I saw Infinity War was the Red Skull callback. I did not see that coming at all.
Oh, I did, because I knew he couldn't be dead, but I know you didn't notice, but I noticed instantly that wasn't Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, it was a voice actor, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Ross Marquand.
Yeah.
Like he did a pretty good Weaving impression, but I noticed instantly that it wasn't.
I still think that aesthetically it looks like the Red Skull that we know.
Well, that's because he was created with CGI instead of prosthetics.
Really?
Yeah, so they kind of just rebuilt Hugo Weaving's Red Skull face onto a CGI double, and then Ross Marquand did the voice.
Oh, okay. But yeah,
first, we can go more in depth with that with the Infinity War.
First Avenger probably has my favourite ending to a film or MCU film, when Cap wakes up 70 years later. I really like that scene. Obviously brings Nick Fury back, who was previously seen in Iron Man 1 and credits.
2.
And 2, yeah. And really great scene. Bucky in that film we see played by the great Sebastian Stan. What a babe.
Yeah.
And I'm editing that out.
Don't bother.
I'm not. He's a great guy. Great in that film. Everyone's great in that film.
Everyone.
Really great film. What would you give out of 10?
I would give it are we doing decimals?
Yeah, sure.
I'd give it a 9.5, because I don't think it's perfect, but I love it.
I'd give it a 10 regardless if it wasn't perfect. I love it that much. I'm not going to say obviously what my favourite MCU film is yet, but it's definitely up there. Sort of.
It's that one.
It's that one. It might be. Stay tuned. Anyway, next film. We know that you have a personal gripe with this one. Avengers Assemble.
Avengers Assemble, or Avengers as
Avenger.
our... I mean, we're obviously going to garner a national audience.
Yeah.
Sorry, an international audience.
Don't limit ourselves,
Yeah,
Callum.
no.
We're reaching for the star.
So
You're going to be the star, Callum.
So yes, in America it was the Avengers, released 2012, directed by Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Why?
It's such an unpopular opinion, and I'll have a few unpopular opinions, as you'll see later on. But I hate this film so much. I don't. See, it's difficult. I think I have such a strong dislike for it because of everyone praising it as amazing.
Yeah.
So I think my opinion has been soured by people over, giving it higher status than it deserves. I don't think it's anywhere near as good as people claim it to be.
Well, what do you like about it? What are those positive moments in it for you?
Well, it has all the positives of, it's characters that I love, played by actors that are great at acting. My biggest problems with it are, well, one, nothing really happens in it, and that could be okay if the story was fine, but I just find the story really boring, and I hate Loki. I didn't mention this in Thor. I hate Loki so much, and to make him the main villain of a film is terrible. Like I really dislike it.
Well, in terms of what I think of it, it's not as good as Age of Ultron and Infinity War, which is again an unpopular opinion.
One that I agree with.
Yeah. One thing I do like about it is it brings the characters together in a way that feels fresh, but it also feels like it's continuing their stories. If you get me.
Yeah, I mean, it was the first to do it. This was the first big cinematic universe.
Oh, definitely. The Avengers was like, how old were we at the time? Like 9, maybe.
We're 10. 10, yeah.
10. We've just given away our ages. We're gonna die. No. One thing I like about it is that was the first big movie I remember as a kid. Like everyone went to see. Like that's where everyone's birthday parties went to. Like
really?
People went to see that for their birthday parties. Like that was a huge film at the time. It still is. Like,
yeah.
People love it.
I didn't see this one in the cinema. Maybe it was this as well. I rented it on DVD from do you remember
Extravision?
Extravision, yeah. We rented it, and we have a really tiny TV, so I don't know, maybe it was because I didn't get to see it on the big screen. I didn't get to enjoy like the nostalgic moment where they all come together. It was like a really dark. It seemed like it might have been a pirated copy. Like it was very dark, and yeah, I just didn't connect with it like everyone else did.
One thing I keep saying this. One thing, the musical score again. It's a trend with MCU movies. It's great. The Avengers theme is a classic, I think, now.
The moment where they pan around the circle.
Yeah, great shot.
Looking back, that is one moment that I appreciate. I understand why people freaked out with that so much.
The cap suit, horrendous.
Oh, it's horrendous.
It's really
it's
bad.
So bad.
It's real bad.
Like it looks like a swimming cap.
It looks like the Flash costume.
It does.
Blue.
It does look like the. Yes, exactly.
That's what it does.
And
go ahead.
Yeah, Coulson says we all need a little bit of old fashioned. Then why didn't you use the old cool suit?
Yeah.
Why did you?
You deserve to die, Coulson. But no, I love Phil.
Also, Black Widow. Hot.
He wants me to edit that out.
Leave it at that.
So.
I have to admit, like the effects are all good, but one thing I really don't like is a faceless CGI army.
Which is what we got with the Chitauri.
And what we got with all the Avengers films, as we will go on to say.
Yeah. I think that needs to happen though, for a team movie.
I don't think it does.
Do you think it'll happen in Endgame?
I think it probably will happen in Endgame, but I don't think Infinity War needed it. We'll get onto it.
We'll get onto it. Obviously brought us Thanos for this. Give us our first look at Thanos.
Oh yeah.
He looks strangely different. It's obviously not Josh Brolin.
Yeah, it's not Josh Brolin, and it was prosthetics.
Yeah, it looks really strange. I don't like it.
Also, he currently always changes color.
Yeah.
Like he was purple, then blue, then purple again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is prosthetics, so it does look a bit weird.
Mm-hmm. If you were to give the Avengers a rating out of 10, mate, what would you give it?
I'd give it a 5, probably.
I'd give it a 6. Yeah, it's because obviously we're so familiar with Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes. That was the benchmark for me. Like if it wasn't as good as that, it wasn't going to be a success to me. Yeah. Obviously, it was a tremendous success, both financially and critically. But for me, it just wasn't as good as I wanted it to be.
Third biggest movie ever at its time of release.
Yeah. Huge movie.
Which surprised me.
Coming up to the third and final movie in the Iron Man trilogy, Iron Man 3. What did you think of that one?
I do not like Iron Man 3 very much.
Like Iron Man 3?
This is the first MCU movie I saw in the cinema. I saw it twice. The first time was in Edinburgh. I was horribly sick in Edinburgh. I did not want to go to Iron Man 3.
He had a dodgy Mandarin.
No. What?
I am the Mandarin. No.
No. Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
I did. That did not connect with me. No, I was not feeling well, and I felt so angry that I was forced to go to that, and I think that kind of soured my opinion of it. I haven't seen it many times since then, and it just never really connected with me.
It's directed by Shane Black.
Yeah.
I think it's a really clever film. I really love this movie. Came out when I was in P7. I have great memories of this. Although I remember one day I went in, and everyone in my year was away to York on a trip, and it was just me and a few other guys. And the guy came in, and he was like, "Anyone seen Iron Man 3?" I was like, "No, I'm gonna see it tonight." And then he did me a huge. It's not really a major plot point because it doesn't really affect, but movie
it kind of symbolizes his story arc for the film.
Yeah. It definitely makes a really weird decisions, this movie. I'm not sure if Shane Black fully understood what the Mandarin and Tony Stark meant to comic fans, because they just sort of like undo everything that he's worked for. He blew up the suits. He doesn't need the arc reactor for some reason.
Yeah.
Like did his heart just mend itself?
The suits are instantly back in Age of Ultron as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like some elements of the film.
Yeah.
The effects are obviously still great. The storyline isn't awful, but one problem I definitely had was that kid Harley, played by Ty Simpkins.
It's limited edition, man.
The Dora Explorer watch. Yeah, that's not good. He's apparently back for Endgame.
Yeah, one thing I do like is the paradigm between Tony and Harley.
You do like that?
Yeah, Go get
Really?
go get my sandwich.
My tuna
My
sandwich.
tuna sandwich. The funniest moment I think in the film is is when we get meet a really nerdy Aldrich Killian, and he just leaves him on the rooftop.
Oh no, it's so brutal. Like that whole 1999 flashback is excellent. Like,
Yeah, it's
I
great.
love it so much because John Favreau is obviously playing
brings back
Happy. Brings back the John Travolta mullet.
And also, what's his name? The Hungarian dude.
Svensson.
Svensson.
I think.
Svensson. Yeah.
And then they're playing an absolute bop. Let's be honest.
Blue.
Yo, listen.
No,
no,
we're not doing that.
No, let's cancel. Yeah.
Yeah. I really love that movie. I don't know why. I just really like it. It's just got a really nice charm to it. Best favorite scene for you?
My favorite scene is when Tony doesn't have access to any of his suits, so he has to go to a hardware store and build like
that's quite
temporary, homemade gadgets
out of Christmas baubles.
Yeah, and electricity, like washing gloves or whatever.
Yeah. My favorite scene, I think, is when he's rescuing people from the airplane. So the CGI there is flawless, I think. But then when it turns out to be he's just inside a boat, it's a bit of a letdown. And also the suit gets destroyed by a truck.
Yeah.
Even though it survives a tank explosion in Iron Man 1. Like.
Well, I guess
it's a different suit.
It's a different suit. It was a prototype.
Yeah.
But it still shouldn't have been destroyed by that.
Rating out of 10 for Iron Man 3.
I'd probably give it a 6. It's similar to Thor for me. It's kind of just mediocre, nothing special about it.
I would give it an 8. I really love it.
Really?
Really love it. Yeah. Favorite in the Iron Man trilogy.
Really?
Yeah, I really love it.
Wow.
I really like it.
That's surprising. Okay.
Next film.
Wow, we are not even...
No, we're not even friends anymore. This podcast is being shut down. I'm taking all the money.
I was going to say we're not even close to being done. You were just like, the friendship is over? Okay.
Next film, Thor: The Dark World. Callum, take us through that.
I don't have a huge amount to say about this. So, directed by Alan Taylor. He's a Game of Thrones director.
Oh, really?
So
I haven't watched any.
So I guess they thought he would fit the tone of Thor, but I think he just gets the character entirely wrong.
Yeah.
Like I think Thor is the most inconsistent character in the MCU, because they portray him differently in all three of the films, and I think that's because the director was different every time.
Yeah, the first two directors, no harm to them, don't have any idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
To be brutally honest.
We'll get to Taika.
Oh, Taika. What a man. What a Korg.
Yeah.
Basically, Thor: The Dark World, the story is the ether has infected Jane Foster, and the ethers later found out to be the Reality Stone.
Yes.
And Christopher Eccleston, the Ninth Doctor, also one of my favourite Doctors, is Malekith the Accursed.
Yeah.
And what's wrong with Christopher Eccleston? Excuse the motorbike. It's so rude.
Yeah.
What's wrong with Christopher Eccleston?
Well, I just never really watched him as the Doctor.
No, fair enough.
I only started really on the Tennant series.
Yeah, I really like Thor. I say I really like Thor: The Dark World. I like it. It's okay. I think it's better than the first Thor. I think it gets.
You do?
Yeah, I think it gets a lot of unnecessary hate. It is quite dull, but I think some of the reality hopping scenes where it's is it Curse? Is the huge monster in that film?
Do you mean the one that kind of
it looks like a bull?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not a lot to say about this. Might be quite a short review on Thor: The Dark World. It's just it is what it is. It was probably in a time where the MCU was starting to discover itself and getting its stride. So it is a bit of an awkward film in that sense. Any favorite scenes from it?
Not really.
Not really. No. As I mentioned, mine was probably
I was so angry.
The London scene. London scene's pretty good.
I was so angry that I wasted my time like staying for the after credit scene, and
what
it was just like
scene?
it was like the massive like weird cat monster thing like just banging about England. Like it was the worst thing.
To conclude our thoughts on the second Thor movie, what would you give it out of 10, buddy?
I'd give it a 5.
5. Yeah, I'd give it a 5 as well.
You said you prefer it to the first Thor and then gave it less. That's interesting,
Is
Matthew.
it? Did I say that?
You did say that?
Well, I'm gonna edit that out. No. I think I can prefer a film, but give it less because I understand its critical flaws.
Yeah, okay.
I think the Thor one is more entertaining, but I think Thor 2 is probably a bit more boring, so that's why I'm giving it less. Okay. So yeah, Thor 1 5 out of 10. Thor 1 6 out of 10. Thor 2 5 out of 10. Next movie is Captain America: The Winter Soldier, second in the Cap franchise.
Yep. Yeah. So this is the first film in the MCU directed by Anthony and Joe Russo.
Oh, infamous directors.
The men themselves.
Oh yeah.
Excellent directors.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Community?
I have not seen Community. I hear they had a big part in playing that show.
Well, they directed quite a few of the best episodes. The Dungeons and Dragons episodes are all them pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So they are very good at comedy, and that's why I really like this film, because it was like a political thriller, but they were able to inject comedy where possible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think Chris Evans is excellent at delivering comedy, and I think it was a great idea to pair him with Black Widow.
Oh yeah, great idea on that part. I really like the idea of Hydra infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. I think it's a really clever idea. Sort of brings back to mind sort of Secret Invasion, but different, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Obviously the villain, Alexander Pierce.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got Bucky, obviously,
Yeah.
as the Winter Soldier. Great use of Sebastian Stan there again.
Yeah.
You can't really go wrong with him. Great score as well. Really, really good musical score.
You know the scene where Bucky blows up Nick Fury's car?
Yeah,
and he approaches, and
Yeah.
that music is excellent.
Yeah, like this. No, it is sort of like
It
a
is
screech.
kind of like a screech. Yeah. It's so excellent.
Also, I like the scene where Stan Lee's in the Cap Museum, and then sort of he looks and then sees the mannequin but without the suit. I think that's a really great scene. The late Stan Lee, obviously, that is my favourite cameo actually of Stan Lee.
Really?
Yeah, really love that cameo. Great action in it. It's not really a one take, but you know the scene, the hand-to-hand combat scene in the motorway.
Yes,
that
excellent.
was amazing. I think it's both done by Evans and Stan there.
Yeah. I saw some behind the scenes footage of Sebastian Stan. He seemed to train very hard for that.
Yeah. Great post-credit scene, obviously, with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, who were both obviously introduced again in Age of Ultron. If you were to have a favourite scene from Winter Soldier, what would it be?
I'd say it would be either the hand-to-hand combat or the blowing up of Nick Fury's.
Yeah, that is a really
SUV.
good scene. Are the policemen working? Are the policemen Hydra agents in that scene?
The ones that shoot up Fury's car? Yes.
Yeah. My favourite scene, as I mentioned, is probably the scene with his old costume. I think that's great. Or the scene with Arnim Zola as a computer. I think that's really good.
Yeah, obviously a comic book deep cut.
Yeah, and another comic book deep cut was Falcon, who we get introduced in the film through the great Anthony Mackie. Really talented comedic actor.
Yeah.
Really great in that movie, actually. I like the realism of the suit. Like, the suit doesn't look good in that, because it's not really a suit, it's wings.
It's wings, yeah.
Yeah, really good.
I remember in 2013 I was getting really nervous because I'd seen some concept art and it looked awful.
Yeah.
And then when they introduced the mechanical wings, I was really impressed.
Yeah.
Before we get on to the rating, like what did you think of specifically the villain, Alexander Pierce, and also did you see the Hydra twist coming?
I did not see the Hydra twist coming at all. Sort of at that time I wasn't really into superhero movies as I am now, but I remember going to see that at the cinema and thinking, wow, that is a great film. Like, it's not just a great superhero film, I just think it's a great action film in general.
Yeah.
Really great. In terms of, did you see the Hydra twist coming?
Oh, not at all. Like, I tried my best to stay away from trailers, so I didn't even know that S.H.I.E.L.D. was a big part of the film.
Yeah,
and it was, it was really a huge surprise that Hydra had infiltrated them. I kind of think Hydra is overused as villains. They're the kind of main villains in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for the first few seasons, and then they're the villains in most of the Captain America films. And Age of Ultron, so I do think they are overused, but I think this was the best use of them in a film.
I suppose there's only so much you can do with Cap's Rogue Gallery. It is basically a few Hydra agents, but in terms of ratings, I would honestly give it a 10.
I would also give it a 10.
Really, really great film. Next film on our list is first Guardians of the Galaxy film, also released in 2014. Can you tell us about that?
I really love this film. I again saw it on its day of release. I don't know if I have made this memory up, but I'm pretty sure it was the day that I came home from that. Like, I was very pissed at my brother. I'd like cried in the car on the way home, and I'm pretty sure I came home and my hamster had died. Like, I'm quite.
Why am I laughing? It's not funny.
I'm quite confident that happened.
Can we also talk about, you told me this story before, when you came home from Iron Man 3, started singing Ole Ole Ole.
Oh yeah, because we didn't really talk about the Mandarin twist to a huge extent, but yeah, I was completely. I'm not a huge comic book fan. I love superheroes, but I've just never really gotten into comics.
Yeah.
So I had no interpretations of the Mandarin character before I went into the film. So I thought the twist was clever.
Yeah.
Now I can see why people would have an issue with it. Sorry if this doesn't line up perfectly in the edit.
You
idiot! My mum had called me downstairs.
You're telling this story.
Oh yeah, not to its full extent. I'll get back to my previous story. Yeah, I really like the Mandarin twist, and I don't know. I find it weirdly funny. It was probably my favorite part of the Iron Man 3 film, and yeah, I don't know why you got me to tell this story, but yeah, I don't know. Me and my dad and my brother just had quite a laugh at the film and just returned home very merry, just
until he discovered his dead hamster.
Different film. Yeah. But yeah, I was just singing, what football team theme song is that?
It's not a football team theme song, I don't think.
Ole, ole, ole.
Yeah, I think it's just a general football.
Okay, back to Guardians.
It's not really. We're never gonna get speaking about Guardians. James Gunn was rehired. Well, not really rehired. He wasn't apparently fired in the first place.
He was technically fired.
But what do you make of that? I think it's a good decision. But I think it's a waste of Taika Waititi.
I do not think it's a good decision to rehire James Gunn.
You don't?
No, because I don't think he's the one responsible for making it as great as it is. So I think part of Guardians is the comedy, but a lot of it does rely on the special effects and kind of the spectacle of the cosmic side of it.
The soundtrack is amazing.
Yeah, the soundtrack especially. But I think a lot of people could do that, and I think Taika Waititi, as you said, would have probably been a better choice.
I think in terms of the casting, Chris Pratt as Star-Lord is excellent.
Yeah.
Zoe Saldana Gamora also equally as good. Dave Bautista as Drax is an inspired casting. Like, he is hilarious.
Oh, he is hilarious. Like, he is my favorite part. He is my favorite character in that.
Yeah. Terms of Groot, obviously, and Rocket, really good CGI actually. Obviously the voice work with Vin Diesel and Bradley Cooper, really talented actors as well. A really star-studded cast actually. Villain, I'm not too keen on, but I think Ronan served his purpose.
Weirdly, I often like kind of the mediocre villains because
why?
I don't know. I often just am of the mindset it's the hero's story. Unless you're doing something like a cool character piece, like I can't wait for the Joker film in October. But yeah, I definitely agree. Ronan served his purpose, and I liked him. And Lee Pace, who played him, is a really great actor.
Just before we give our concluding thoughts, do you like the cosmic element that's introduced here with the MCU?
No, I never have.
Never?
We'll talk about Thor Ragnarok. I really liked it there, but this and Doctor Strange and Guardians 2, the space element, I've never been a huge space fan.
Yeah, Kevin Feige did mention that in Phase 4 we are going to enter a new cosmic element of the MCU is going to become more cosmic. I'm not sure I like that myself. I like the grounded aspect of the MCU, but Guardians is a good movie, and for me I would give it a 10 out of 10. Probably 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd maybe give it an 8.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, it is a good movie, and if I like the sequel maybe a little bit more, but still a good movie. Next movie is the Avengers sequel, Age of Ultron, an age that lasted approximately 48 hours.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Were you a fan?
Yeah, I thought it was. That was the first superhero movie I was really hyped for. I went to see it on opening night, packed theater, first in the queue.
Yeah.
But I can't help but feel I was a little let down by it.
Yeah, the trailer was exceptional. The music was so eerie, and James Spader's voice was so menacing.
Yeah.
But then they tried to make Ultron comedic in the film, and it just felt wrong and out of place.
Yeah.
And all my problems with Tony Stark really start there, because he's often blaming other people when he's the one like creating killer robots.
Yeah. Also, Elizabeth Olsen's accent in that movie is, we'll leave it at that.
I think it's alright, if I'm honest. And I really like Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Oh yeah.
He's a really likable actor.
Didn't see that coming.
No. Ooh, all those bullets in his spine. Cool.
Anyway, so in terms of the story, Avengers are starting to gel as a team until Ultron, who is a android AI, basically created through the scepter, isn't it? Loki's scepter.
Yeah.
Is created, starts wreaking havoc and trying to create a robot army. It basically introduces a lot of different aspects in the Avengers universe. We've got that's Wakanda. We've got Bruce Banner joke. Yeah,
Hilarious.
Yeah, I'm editing that out. We've got Hulkbuster as well, and we've also got Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. What do you make of them?
Well, yeah, all the things that you listed do kind of add up to a mess, if I'm honest. Because the Hulkbuster scene is probably the most out of place part of the film.
I really like that's the best scene in the film.
But it's kind of just a 20-minute detour that doesn't add to the plot. A lot of the film is that, the farm. Like, I was really surprised by Hawkeye's family, but it's completely irrelevant to everything else happening in the film.
Yeah.
And, Thor's, like, bathtub vision, again, that really holds no relevance.
I do quite like Hawkeye in this film. It made me care a lot more about him as a character, although I can't help but feel other characters were sidelined because of that. Cap basically has nothing to do in the movie at all, really.
Of the Avengers, I think he has the least screen time.
Yeah, definitely, and that's weird considering how big of a success The Winter Soldier was just a year prior. If we were going to give Age of Ultron a rating out of 10, firstly, favourite scenes, if you have any, that particularly stand out to you?
Well, I do like the Hulkbuster scene. I just do think it's very out of place.
Yeah.
And every scene with Quicksilver I really liked. He's probably one of my favourite actors, actually. And I think I think his accent was better than Elizabeth Olsen's.
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to be coming back for Endgame?
Yeah, I do. I think we'll obviously get into Endgame theories later, but I think there will be an element of time travel in it, maybe. And that'll find a way for Quicksilver to get back.
I really hope there isn't time travel.
I really hope there is.
I really hope there isn't, but I hope they do bring back Quicksilver, because, very unpopular opinion, I prefer him to Evan Peters.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, a lot of people have just turned off.
Yeah, the 3 viewers.
3 viewers. My favourite moment of the film is probably the last discussion between Vision and Ultron. And,
that's
really good scene. Last film in the MCU to be directed by Joss Whedon. Some
Thank
could argue
God.
that's a good thing.
Yeah,
especially you.
Yeah.
Justice League's okay.
Yeah. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. But if I were to give Age of Ultron a rating out of 10, I would give it a 6.5.
I'd give it a 6.
6, yeah. Well, next movie we're going to talk about is Ant-Man. What do you think of Ant-Man, Callum?
Well, I very much like Ant-Man, actually. I was very surprised, because usually I don't like smaller scale films, but I think I do think it definitely fit the character. My one gripe with it would be, similar to Obadiah Stane, Darren Cross just goes insane for no reason.
He shrinks a lamb to death. And also a man gets...
Yeah, he just like turns a man into goop and then like wipes him up.
Quantum goop.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd, great guy. Great casting. Really funny. Really ripped in that movie.
Yeah. Jacked.
Yeah. Evangeline Lilly is great as Janet Van Dyne. Michael Douglas equally is great as Hank Pym. Flashback scene is great. The de-aging,
yeah.
Peggy Carter is a cameo. Haley Atwell, of course. Yellow Jacket, not a fan. Costume's good, not a fan of the idea of it. If we're gonna give Ant-Man is we're gonna have to wrap this up pretty soon in terms of Ant-Man, because there are obviously bigger films, if you get me there. Don't laugh at once. What would you give it out of 10?
I'd give it a 7.
7. I would give it a 7 as well. Yeah, 7 out as well. Next movie is the biggest blockbuster of 2016, Captain America: Civil War.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, as I said before, another ingenious direction by Joe and Anthony Russo.
Yeah.
I love this film on every level.
I remember when we went to see it together, our thoughts were quite disappointed, because we both thought Cap was going to die and we were expecting that, but it didn't really provide us that like emotional levity of it. But
yeah, my first watch was definitely very underwhelming.
Yeah.
But after seeing it multiple times again, I've really grown to love it.
Mm-hmm.
Zemo was a bit of a disappointment on
Yeah.
the first watch, but then as I kind of watched it again and again, I kind of understood his plan and his motivations more, and it spoke to me a bit more.
If we're gonna talk about what this movie does right, it does a lot right, but I would say they nailed two characters in particular. Black Panther and Spider-Man. Obviously, Chadwick Boseman's introduction as the King of Wakanda was great. Unlike his movie.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it. Spider-Man, Tom Holland, really great, charismatic actor, really lovely guy. Not that I know him, but from interviews he seems nice. Great casting. Also, the airport battle is amazing. Like, it was the first huge spectacle that the MCU had probably given us before Infinity War, and I thought it was great. We've got the introduction of Giant Man. We've got obviously the final fight between Cap and Tony, and Bucky's in there as well. Great scene, great emotion there in that scene. Maybe not what I wanted when I first saw it, because I thought, this is Cap's movie, why is Bucky there?
Yeah. And
stuff, but I've accepted it, and I think it's a really, really inspiring and great movie.
Yeah, but I would say the airport battle is amongst my favourites of in any film.
The fact that it's 15 to 20 minutes long as well, and it's such a great scene.
Yeah, and the CGI for the most part is excellent, and Spider-Man is exactly how I pictured him. Oh yeah. It's exactly how I saw him in the animated series and Spectacular Spider-Man as well.
Of course.
Whose side were you on, Matthew?
I was on Team Iron Man.
And you still are, for whatever reason?
I think if the Sokovia Accords were to happen in real life, I think they need to be put in check.
But the Sokovia Accords are created because Tony created a killer robot.
I know,
so,
I know.
Yeah.
But I think there obviously has to be regulation, and they should be held to account.
They should hold Iron Man to account. Yeah. Everyone else is,
But I think that means employing the social accords, the Sokovia Accords.
Yeah, but just for Iron Man. He shouldn't be trying to impose it on every hero. I mean, why does Captain America have to agree to the Sokovia Accords?
Yeah, it is a debate. A debate for another day, maybe. But in terms of favourite scene, what would you give? What would you give your favourite scene?
I would say the airport battle.
Yeah. Airport battle for me as well.
But before we finish off, I would just like to make it very clear that I was Team Captain America.
And I would like to make it even clearer that I was Team Iron Man.
But by the end of the film, how could you still agree with Tony? That Tony was entirely wrong. His whole motivation for going after Bucky and trying to arrest Cap and Bucky was because he thought Bucky blew up
with
King T'Chaka.
That is quite a funny scene. This gets blown up. Then regardless, I just quite find it weird. My only gripe with the movie is that they're able to find a Hydra agent who can mimic the exact appearance of Bucky.
They said that. Oh no, it was Baron Zemo.
Are you sure it was Zemo?
He was wearing prosthetics.
That's not really what
they said in the movie. We found in his hotel room prosthetics that exactly matched that of James Barnes. But yeah, that is so stupid. Yeah. He's wearing
a mask.
Yeah, he's wearing a mask that just shows his eyes, and then they're like, "Oh my god, it's Bucky!"
It's Bucky.
Bucky just murdered King T'Chaka. It's
in all seriousness though, if they don't say that, if they don't acknowledge that Stucky should be a thing.
Oh.
By Endgame, come on.
Weirdly, they have confirmed
I ship it.
Captain America's a virgin. He's not, and he's only ever dated, Peggy Carter and her niece. Yeah. And that's gross enough. Just make him gay. It's fine. Weirdly, I'm usually a stickler for keeping the characters as they were in the comics, but I'm fully up for that.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, definitely.
That. I think they've built the relationship in a way that they could definitely take it that way, and I would understand.
Yeah. What would you give Civil War out of 10, buddy?
I'd give it a 10 out of 10.
I'd give it a 9 out of 10 on that one. Yeah. Next movie is Doctor Strange, which introduced the sort of magical and dimension side of the MCU. What are your thoughts on Doctor Strange, Callum?
Well, we'll probably just talk about this one briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of indifferent to it. It's another kind of just nothing special, kind of mediocre. Slightly better than Thor, I would say. Mm-hmm. Benedict Cumberbatch's accent is horrible.
Yeah.
It's not important to the character at all that he's from New York. I don't see why he had to have an American accent.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just a rehash of Iron Man's Iron Man's origin story. So yeah, I don't really know if the film needed to be made, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Because he didn't really make a big enough impact in Infinity War to justify him really being in the universe.
One thing I think the movie gets right is the villain, or the villains in this case. We've got Dormammu, who's played by Benedict Cumberbatch, I believe, and also Baron Mordo.
Well, he's not really a villainous presence for most of the film.
But in terms of by the end of the film, two great characters. Casting is good. Rachel McAdams as Night Nurse is also good casting. Tilda Swinton, as well as the ancient one. Caecilius is actually
Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, quite a good casting. I quite like Caecilius.
I think it's an absolute waste of Mads Mikkelsen. Yeah. Because he would make such a good Doctor Doom. And now they've ruined that for the MCU.
They could always bring Caecilius Doctor Doom, like he's just
like they just say no, Caecilius is Doctor Doom.
No, he's got a green cloak. Yeah. Anyway, favorite scene from Doctor Strange, Callum, before we give our concluding ratings.
I quite like the Dormammu I've come to bargain scene.
That would be mine as well. Really clever scene. Also quite brutal. He gets stabbed
you just see
a
him
million times.
Getting memed hundreds of times.
In terms of Doctor Strange, I would give it a 6.5 out of 10. Nothing special, but by no means a poor movie. Next movie we've got on our list.
Not gonna let me give it a rating.
Can I just clarify? It's just the second time I've had to edit this because I forgot to give it a rating. Also, I've had to edit out so many things. Like, we were talking about Civil War, and I was about to say my two favorite characters that an Ant-Man came out for some reason when I was supposed to say Black Panther and Spider-Man. I'm not going to edit this. It's genuinely hilarious.
So I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Can we please move on? Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Callum. Take us away with that. What do you think?
I think it's at least a minor improvement on the first one.
Yeah.
There was not a dull moment in it, I thought. Absolutely love Kurt Russell as Ego.
Oh, yeah.
He's such a good casting as Chris Pratt's dad, actually.
Yeah,
I think
quite charismatic.
I think he's very believable as his dad.
Also, very visually striking movie. Probably the most visually striking movie in the MCU.
Yeah.
Also, even better soundtrack. I've got Awesome Mix Volume 2 on my phone. Especially Brandy, You're a Fine Girl. Great song.
Excellent song.
Really good song. Favourite scene in the movie, Colin?
I really like when Star-Lord discovers that his dad's been deceiving him, and then
transfers into David Hasselhoff.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
The chain starts building. The Fleetwood Mac song.
Yeah.
And then Peter. Yeah. I forget that's his name. Yeah, Peter just emerges with his powers.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really impressive scene CGI wise.
Really good scene. My personal favourite is the Yondu prison scene, where he's got the arrow when he's killing people.
Come a little bit closer,
you're my kind of man. So big and so strong. Come a little bit closer. You just Steffi Harry, buddy. What would you give it out of 10, dude?
I'd probably give it a 9. Actually, I really did enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I actually saw it as a double bill.
Yeah, you were
saying. Midnight screening. Technically, my dad fell asleep.
Classic.
Yeah, classic Harry. Yeah, he loved the first film though.
Really good film. I haven't rewatched it though, but I give it an 8. Really good film. Next movie we have is one of Callum's personal favourites, Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Oh yes, I'm a massive Spider-Man fan. I would say he is my favourite character, probably in fiction actually. And I thought this was a really accurate representation of him as a high schooler, which is an interpretation which we haven't really seen before.
Yeah.
In the Raimi films, he always looked like a 40-year-old boy.
Tobey Maguire does still look like a 40-year-old boy.
He's beautiful.
Yes. Callum's gonna put him up in his bedroom.
Oh, it's not just a photo. It's cardboard.
It's a cardboard cutout.
Matthew would know. He bought it for me. Beautiful.
James Franco's next.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, but I just love this film. Tom Holland's very charismatic, and Ned. Played by Jacob Batalon.
Really good.
Excellent guy. That is one of my favorite scenes in the MCU. Whenever he's acting as the guy in the chair, and just the teacher rolls in, and he's like, "I'm watching porn." That's so good.
That's funny. Vulture is really good. Michael Keaton is a really good cast in there. Yeah. One thing I was not expecting, and I did not hear from any reviews, is when Peter opens the door when he's going to take Liz to prom, and it's Michael Keaton.
I was really expecting. I was expecting Michelle to be his daughter, I was expecting, him to have some personal connection to Peter.
Yeah.
But I thought it was going to be through Michelle, not through Liz.
Are you sick of Spider-Man villains always having a personal connection to Spidey?
I'm not. I think if they did it again in Far From Home, I might.
Yeah.
But I think I've probably reached my threshold of acceptability.
Quentin Beck's like Uncle Ben. He's not actually dead.
Jake Gyllenhaal would have actually made a good Uncle Ben.
He would have, yeah. I hope that actually doesn't happen. If it did, you heard it here first.
Oh yeah. No, Tobey Maguire needs to be Uncle Ben.
Tobey Maguire needs to be Uncle Ben. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what favorite scene in Spider-Man: Homecoming?
Yeah, that would probably be the guy in the chair moment.
Yeah. I would say my favorite scene is trying to think. Probably when he lifts the rubble, and it's a pretty good scene.
Yeah, I was pretty upset that most of it was spoiled by the trailers.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a very big moment that wasn't shown in the trailers.
Yeah. I don't like the homemade suit, but it has got sort of a charm to it that I feel like a 16, 17-year-old Peter Parker would make.
Yeah. Michael Keaton is excellent.
Oh yeah.
You probably haven't seen him in anything else, because I found out he hasn't seen Batman '89.
Sue me.
I shall.
He will.
I hope that we get to do a Batman episode. I'll have to force Matthew to watch them. He hasn't even seen Batman and Robin.
Stop embarrassing me.
But you can't make fun of Batman and Robin if you haven't seen it.
Okay.
And you do frequently.
I promise I will watch Batman and Robin by the time we do a Batman episode.
Okay.
If we find the motivation to continue this. So, what would you give it out of 10?
I would give it a 9.5.
9.5. I'd give it an 8. Not my favourite Spidey film. That would have to go to Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, yes.
Which is
I thought you were going to say Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2 I love.
Spider-Man 2 is great in its own way because it's terrible. But Spider-Man Into the Spider...
I know, this isn't Spider-Man 2, but we were excellent swimmers.
But we'll talk about it in
Can
a Spider-Man episode.
3 episode?
We need to do a Spider-Man episode, but Into the Spider-Verse is excellent, yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so next film, Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah. So directed by Taika Waititi, his first film in the MCU.
Yep.
It's probably the most different movie in the MCU.
Oh, totally.
Most usually follow at least a loose structure.
Yeah.
But this is just it's something completely different. All of the acting is amazing, especially Taika Waititi as Korg.
Especially Matt Damon.
I was so angry because that was spoiled for me.
That's it.
By Mr. Sunday Movies and Comic Book Cast 2 both spoiled it. So I knew that months in advance. Also the Hela twist being Thor's sister, I found out.
Yeah.
That was revealed on a Australian news channel. Mm-hmm. That angered me. But other than that, it's just an excellent film. Korg might be my favourite cosmic MCU character. I think he's hilarious. Yeah, I think he's the best alien character in the MCU. I think in this film, Taika definitely got Thor right. He balanced the comedy with the, nature of he's an Asgardian after all, and the opening scene with Hela and Doctor Strange as well is a great cameo. Yeah. Favorite scene from Thor Ragnarok? It's got to be something with Korg in it. Yeah. Probably the part where he's like, I tried to start a rebellion. I forgot to hand off the pamphlets. Or something like that. Like that. He's just such a comedic genius. Yeah. I really love Taika Waititi so much. Meek's dead. I accidentally stomped on him in the Bifrost. He's alive. Meek, say something. Yeah, that's great. My impression sounds good. My favourite scene is probably the Surtur scene at the end. I quite like Surtur. I thought Surtur was really generic. I think he's supposed to be though. That's another example of recasting. That was Clancy Brown, who was Schoonover in the Punisher series. So he does a lot of voice work, but I hear his voice a lot, so I was kind of bored of him a little bit. I think they did Hulk right in that movie. Oh yeah, very much so. They kind of did not do Bruce Banner very well. He has a lisp. It's just the gamma has infected his lip. Yeah, it's just Mark Ruffalo lisping in Tony Stark's clothes. Rating out of 10, dude. I'd probably give it a 9. I think it's the funniest MCU movie. Definitely. The Devil's Anus was a high point. I'd definitely give it a 10. It's the closest I've come to liking Loki as well. Yeah. I mean, I've never... Are we bleeping that out? Which part? Devil's Anus? Probably not. No, it's fine. But... yeah, that's the closest I've come to liking Loki. If it's a quote, we don't need to bleep it out, it's fine. Of course. So that's our concluding thoughts on the third film in the Thor trilogy. Next film is the
highly successful both critically and financially. Black Panther, Callum.
Oh yes,
Please
Oscar nominee.
Oscar nominee. Probably doesn't deserve it in my
No.
opinion, but that's not to say, it shouldn't have got nominated.
I would like to preface this. Black Panther is a very important film.
Oh, definitely.
It does excellent things for diversity. I like every actor in it. I just think it's so boring.
Yeah.
There isn't much that happens in the story, and what does happen, I feel, I was just bored by it. I think the structure is also quite odd because there are a lot of flashbacks to, evidence like weird revelations that happen in the film.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that Killmonger was going to have some sort of relation to T'Challa, but I thought the way that they revealed things like that was a bit awkward.
If we're going to talk about what the film does right, Chadwick Boseman's great. And as you said, all the cast are stupendous.
Yeah, there's no one I dislike except maybe Martin Freeman. His accent's quite poor.
Michael B. Jordan's great as Eric Killmonger. Really good. I love what they did with the character.
Yeah.
And Baku, great. I like Winston Duke.
Oh, I like Winston Duke, but I preferred him in Infinity War. I didn't think he had as much interesting things to do.
Fair enough.
In Black Panther.
Claw, obviously played by the great Andy Serkis, does a lot of mocap work. Great to see him on screen there, and he's again
a beautiful man.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
He's great in that film.
Yeah.
Negatives for me, as Callum had it right nail on the head there. It's a really important film, and it did a lot for movies. The CGI is real bad.
The CGI is so bad. The final fight scene is a joke. Like,
it looks like they're fighting in Play-Doh.
Yeah,
the
the casino fight is quite good, and I really like the gladiator match between Killmonger and T'Challa, but that final fight scene between the two of them, where it's just two rubber CGI like Stretch Armstrongs slapping each other.
Yeah.
I hated that so much.
Yeah, definitely. Favorite scenes from Black Panther, Colin?
Any scene with Killmonger, really. He's actually one of my favorite villains. Him and Claw interacting was excellent. They're both such talented actors.
Oh yeah.
Very, very, very well written characters, and I was so sad that both of them died.
I know, like the Killmonger death scene is probably my favorite scene in the movie. It's because it says a lot about it does a lot for it was an important scene. Definitely, it was a really important scene. It was a really emotional scene.
His monologue's quite beautiful, actually.
What is it? Sorry.
His monologue is
the monologue's great.
As he's dying.
The sort of what Killmonger stood for was important, and also the performance is flawless by Michael B. Jordan, who's also great in Creed.
Yeah, I find the best villains are the ones that you can kind of empathize with.
100%.
The ones whose motives you can understand, and I got his, even if I didn't obviously agree with his methods.
Yeah. What would you rate Black Panther out of 10, Callum?
It's really difficult for me because, the writing is good, and it's so well shot, and the costumes are great. The music is alright.
It won Best Original Soundtrack, which I find weird because
I find that it
wasn't anything spectacular. I mean, it was great. I like the sort of African beats.
Yeah.
African beats. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. This is going to be one of the most difficult ratings for me. Maybe a 6 because at this point in the MCU, for the CGI to be that bad, it is kind of a nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
I would say a 6.
For me, I think the CGI would let it down from being an 8, so I'm going to go with a 7 for that one. Next film in the MCU is obviously I believe it's the 4th or 5th highest grossing film ever.
Is it? Wow.
3rd in the Avengers trilogy.
Yeah.
It's not really a trilogy anymore, it's a quadrilogy.
Yeah.
Avengers Infinity War, Callum. What do you think of that?
I
talk us through your cinema experience first, because you've talked to me about this before, and I really want people to hear about it because it's hilarious.
I've talked to Matthew and to many people about this several times because it just really upset me, if I'm honest. I'd gone to a midnight screening. I'd paid above average price. I picked my seats. They were perfect.
Perfect. Nothing could go wrong.
And then I sit beside this pink-haired woman. She was straddling a Black Widow plush toy.
There was a cat there. It's fine.
What? No. Okay. Yeah. So. The film starts. I'm feeling fine. I'm ready. I'm pumped for the film. And just as soon as it starts, she starts narrating it. she narrated the entire film.
It was as if it came with audio commentary.
Yeah, a highlight. I would say It's the scene when Bucky and Steve are reunited, and she chanted, "Oh my God, it's so gay, I love it."
She respects our opinions.
I mean, I agree, but I wouldn't have screamed out loud in a cinema.
Regardless of that, though, what was your opinions on the movie?
Well, that did taint my first viewing, if I'm honest, but I did see it again, and I appreciated it a lot more. The Spider-Man death scene hit me a lot harder.
Yeah.
The second time round, I did cry. I did not cry the first time round. Yeah, it was so brutal.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't expecting the snap.
No, me neither.
Going in, but around they were clearly foreshadowing it, so I did at a point expect the Avengers were gonna lose.
I definitely think they did Thanos so well. Like,
Yeah.
I like the Russos did describe it as a heist film before, whereas Thanos is acquiring the stones, but
Yeah.
I think they did that excellently. The death of Loki I did see coming because
I was so happy.
he was like yes.
Yeah.
I did see it coming, but yeah, it was really good, really emotional actually, and sort of suggested how powerful Thanos is.
Yeah.
In terms of the snap, I thought it was really. I didn't see that coming, Quicksilver, but it was. I thought it was really emotional. Yeah, I didn't expect him to kill off Black Panther.
Or Spider-Man.
Groot, Spider-Man, any of them really, or Bucky even. But
I would have understood like Falcon and War Machine.
yeah,
But yeah, the side
the
characters.
scene where like Falcon crumbles is hilarious.
Wait, what?
It's hilarious, unintentionally. I think. Yeah.
Okay.
I just find his goggles really, really funny.
Right.
But
No, I was so happy when Loki died. Like the woman in
You're
the
just like, yeah,
the
it's
woman
about
in the
time.
cinema was like, "Oh my God, no,
Not
no,
Tom.
not Loki!" And I was chuckling to myself. I was like, as his life was squeezed out of his head.
what is your favorite scene in Infinity War?
Oh, there's so many actually. I mean, overall as a film, I don't know if it really works. It kind of just seems like action sequences stitched together
You
with
think?
jokes. Yeah, but pretty much any scene with Spider-Man I enjoyed. Because of course he's my favorite character.
Jack Down Spider Suit.
I didn't really know, no, but I still don't like Tony Stark.
I love him in that movie.
And then Captain America, I was let down by
Yeah.
because he isn't my Captain America. They called this film like the culmination of the MCU, but then it was more like a culmination of poor versions of the characters.
Yeah, Cap wasn't Cap. Black
You know-
Widow wasn't really Black Widow.
Yeah.
War Machine is
You know,
paralyzed.
Platinum blonde widow, more like.
But I think my favorite scene in it is probably Iron Man Thanos face off. I think it's pretty good. I think I love the bleeding edge armor, if you could call it that. I think it's
Yeah.
really good. A little overpowered, but I like it. What about you?
It does annoy me that it's been pointed out like oh what is the name of Thanos's Cull Obsidian.
Yeah.
Wong cuts off Cull Obsidian's arm using one of his portals.
Yeah.
And it's been pointed out, why didn't Doctor Strange do that with Thanos' arm?
Oh yeah.
And that since
That's
I heard
bugged me,
that has annoyed me with that scene.
But regardless.
Overall, I really like Mantis actually.
Yeah.
I think Mantis is really underutilized.
Palm Clementif, isn't it?
Yeah,
She's quite a talented
delightful.
actress, yeah. Callum just gave a subtle nod and an approval of her looks.
Yeah.
Rating out of 10?
The film?
Yeah.
I would give it an 8.
I would give it a 10. I personally loved it. Favorite film, second favorite film of 2018 behind Into the Spider-Verse. Next film we have is Ant-Man and the Wasp, second second Ant-Man film. What are your opinions on that? And who's the director? Peyton Reed?
It's Peyton Reed again. Same director as the first. I definitely like it more than the first one. I don't have a huge amount of thoughts on this. The storytelling is odd. It's somehow a smaller film than even the first one. Don't. Hilarious. Wow. Yeah. I think the villain has definitely improved. I mean, they stole the ghost from Iron Man from the comics.
Yeah.
But I think that's one time where I think a gender bending definitely worked actually.
Oh, definitely.
Because I think the character was very effective.
I really like Lawrence Fishburne as Goliath. Obviously, we don't see him as Goliath, but
Yeah.
Bill Foster as Dr. Bill Foster is really good casting. Michael Douglas is back. Obviously, Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly are back as Ant-Man and the Wasp, respectively. I quite like what's Sonny Birch. Yeah, quite like that. Quite
Walton
like
Goggins.
That's such I love that name.
Wally Goggins.
But regardless, I really like that film. I think the shrinking and growing scenes are even better than the first time round, and really good film.
Yeah, I managed to avoid most of the trailers, so most of the impressive shrinking and growing scenes I managed to see for the first time in the cinema, which honestly I think that's why the film was kind of poorly received by critics, because it was another Spider-Man Homecoming situation where they revealed most of it in the trailers.
And also I think people were, because Infinity War was such a, for me it was more of an experience. We've talked about this before other than the podcast, but Ant-Man and the Wasp was such a, I'll use the pun again, a smaller film.
Yeah, it was such a departure.
Yeah,
you know.
Of course. But regardless of that, Michael Peña's comedic performance is great. It is hilarious. And in terms of a favourite scene, it would probably be, I don't know, just the ending battle. I think is pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good.
Although, did you notice, like, you know, it's a big Marvel film, and the end fight, so to say, is a car chase.
Yeah, it is strange.
It is weird. Yeah.
I suppose because there is no true villain of it, really.
I guess, yeah, they're all kind of, you know, kind of morally ambiguous.
If you were to give your Quantum rating out of Quantum 10, what would you give it out of Quantum?
I'd probably give it a 7.
The joke is there because they add Quantum in front of everything just to make it sound scientific.
I think that would make a solid drinking game. Like I think you get pretty rad-assed.
Take a shot every time they say Quantum.
Yeah.
What was your ratings there, sorry, buddy?
I'd say about a 7. You know.
7 out of 10. Yeah. I'd give it a 7. I'd give it a 7. Next film, first to 2019, and also the first MCU film to star a female as the lead, Captain Marvel.
I would say before we start this, you know, it's still in cinemas, I'd give a spoiler warning.
Yeah, spoiler warning here, by the way, guys. Whoever's listening. Probably no one, it's fine. Probably us, actually.
I think the statute of limitations on the other films is pretty much out, but Captain Marvel is still in cinemas, so yeah, I would warn of spoilers.
Yeah.
I really love this film, weirdly.
Me too.
I just watched the teaser trailer, and apart from that, I hadn't seen anything, so I went in pretty fresh. I tried to avoid every possible spoiler I could, and still found out from a toy who Jude Law was playing, which was so annoying, because it was meant to be, you know, a big twist of the film, that he was, spoiler again, secretly the villain.
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised that he was the villain, but I was surprised that the Skrulls were, like, you know, fully innocent.
Yeah, I think Brie Larson's performance is great. I think she plays the toughness of a typical MCU hero mixed with the sort of comedic aspect. I think she brings her own little piece of the character, and it's really, really great. Samuel L. Jackson, the de-aging effects on him are amazing. I barely noticed. Clark Gregg's not so much, but I think his are still good. The Skrulls didn't expect what they were going to do with it. Ben Mendelsohn, one of my favorite MCU villains. I can't really call him a villain.
Yeah, villain. Questionable.
But, obviously, Jude Law, great guy, great. I was gonna say, who's he playing? Harry Potter? Dumbledore. Young Dumbledore. Really, just a really talented British actor.
Yeah.
If you're gonna talk about your favorite scene in Captain Marvel, what would it be?
I think anything with Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah.
He was such an excellent. He is such an excellent actor. This is probably the best performance I've seen from him.
Other than The Dark Knight.
I don't remember him in it. I know that he plays like a businessman, but I don't remember. This is the first time I've liked Brie Larson in anything, though.
I haven't seen her in anything else other than Kong Skull Island.
She was in Kong Skull Island. She was in Community, actually. She played Abed's girlfriend. I did not like her there, and I did not like her in Room, for which she won an Oscar. I was surprised that she won an Oscar.
I know a lot of people have been giving her a lot of criticism recently. I think regardless of that, you can't deny that this film it's been a financial success. It's on its way to $1 billion US. It's a great. I think it's a really witty film. My favorite scene is definitely any scene with Goose the cat. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
it makes me want a cat now, and I wasn't a cat person. But
I hate cats so much. Yeah, they're the
worst.
They're poison. Yeah, but. Yeah, as I said, like I was avidly avoiding like the marketing campaign, so I didn't even really hear Brie Larson like speaking out, you know, kind of against men at some points.
Yeah.
you know, but so that didn't at all, you know, taint my opinion of the film. So
Okay.
I was able to go in fresh.
And your rating out of 10?
I'd give it a 8. I think I need to see it again.
I would give it an 8.5 because I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I loved it. We are going to talk briefly about very briefly because
we're very much
extent,
running over time.
We're running over time. We have to see Shazam pretty soon. It's a 2-week early screening. And also, not because we're anyone important,
no.
We're just more nerdy. We're going to talk briefly about Avengers Endgame. Callum and I, to a certain extent, lesser me, but avoiding trailers. So we just want to discuss theories. But before we do that, we've just a few topics we want to discuss. Favorite MCU moment, but for us both.
Oh, that's really difficult. I would say the airport battle, because Civil War I think is just an excellent film. And I think the airport battle is probably my favorite action scene.
Mine's
ever.
Probably Stan Lee's cameo in The Winter Soldier.
Really?
Yeah.
Well.
Favorite MCU hero?
Well, as I said, Spider-Man is my favorite hero in fiction.
Yeah.
But I would say in the MCU, in the context of the MCU, I think Captain America. Is my favorite depiction.
My personal favorite, if we're going for the movies, probably Tony Stark.
Of course. Gross.
But if we're talking about the entire MCU, probably Charlie Cox's interpretation of The Man Without Fear, Daredevil.
Right.
Personal favorite.
Yeah.
Favorite MCU villain?
You know, it might be Killmonger.
Really?
Yeah, because I really like Michael B. Jordan. You know, I didn't like the film as a whole, but well, one, he's jacked.
Oh, he's
like,
but he is ripped.
He's jacked,
yeah.
but he is such a good actor, and I thought he was so charismatic.
Definitely.
Yeah.
My favorite villain is probably either Thanos or I don't know, probably either Thanos or Hela.
I really like the Vulture as well.
Yeah, Vulture's quite underrated. I think he's been sort of overlooked due to the MCU has gotten better with villains. It has got a lot of criticism because obviously Obadiah Stane, the Abomination, the Leader to an extent.
Yeah.
Malekith and characters like that. But I think with Hela, the Vulture, Thanos, Yonrog to an extent, I think Yonrog's pretty good.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel, but also Thanos again in Endgame. I think they've really turned it in for a new leaf.
But I think Vulture is the one villain in the whole of the MCU where you 100% agree with him.
Oh, you 100% see where it's coming from.
Because
maybe Killmonger as well.
He's really only stealing from rich people, and it's because he's really only stealing from Tony Stark, and that's because he essentially like put him out of a job.
Yeah.
And I think that is like 100% a justifiable motivation.
Okay, and last 2 points we were going to mention about the MCU before we discuss Endgame is favourite MCU film and least favourite MCU film. I'll let you take that away.
For myself, I would say probably The Winter Soldier as my favourite.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love every aspect of it. And I'd say least favourite, it'd probably be, I know that I gave them different ratings, but I'd say it's probably a tie between Iron Man 2 and The Incredible Hulk. I just think very early on the MCU hadn't found its footing.
Yeah.
And I just think they made some missteps before, you know, they got to such a great series as Captain America.
Yeah, very good. Favorite would be in case anyone didn't hear, Callum's brother came in and Callum aggressively told him to go away.
Yeah.
So as
we'll be bleeping that.
Definitely. So my favourite MCU film is the first Avenger, personally because I love, as Callum said, I love films set in the past, especially comic book films, and I love Chris Evans' interpretation as Captain America. Least favourite MCU film, probably for me, Thor. Even though I give Thor: The Dark World a different rating, I think Thor is just a little bit boring for me. It's one MCU movie I'd struggled to get through between that and The Incredible Hulk.
Apologies, by the way, about the audio. Like again, we are sharing one mic, and we have very little experience as this being our first podcast. I'm aware that my audio is especially quite low, and I apologize for my monotone voice. It might just be nerves, or it might just be that I might not be able to do anything else.
Yeah, apologies about the quality, but hopefully we'll just get better with time.
Yeah.
But in terms of Endgame theories and what we want, firstly we're just going to discuss what we think will happen in it.
I may need to leave the room. I I will say I've watched 0 trailers.
Absolutely none?
Absolutely none. I have not seen any. So my only theory is, I really don't have any. I know Tony's in space.
Yeah.
So I assume he builds his way out of there.
Yeah.
You know, Iron Man 1 style.
With a box of scraps.
Hopefully. And then I saw a couple shots from the trailer, and I saw Hawkeye training up a girl who I assume is Kate Bishop, to be the young Hawkeye.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a feeling that they're gonna do a new Avengers, and that's what they're gonna tease for Avengers 5, or maybe Avengers 6.
For me, I think.
Try to use as little trailer details as possible.
I don't know if they're gonna recover all the lost heroes.
I'm gonna leave the room.
No, don't leave the room. But I think the film 3 hours long is the confirmed runtime.
Over 3 hours.
Over 3 hours long, which I'm glad. So hopefully my only request is that Tony does build his way out of space with a box of scraps.
I hope he dies.
And on that note, yeah, you've expressed your hatred for Tony Stark.
He deserves to die. Like, he's been such a piece of shit.
He's so charismatic, though. I love Robert Downey Jr. He's great.
Yeah, I like Robert Downey Jr. Hopefully we'll talk Tropic Thunder one day.
Of course.
But yeah, I hate Tony Stark, and he definitely deserves to die.
Well, yeah, my only what I want to happen in Endgame is just I do want the original Avengers to defeat Thanos. You know, I want there to be a moment where either Cap lifts Mjolnir or whatever. Something like that would be great. And he at least has to say Avengers Assemble once. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah.
Callum, what about you?
Well, one big thing that I really hope doesn't happen is I know that there is a suggestion of kind of universe hopping and time hopping, but what I really hope doesn't happen is that they bring the characters from another universe back to what we'll call Earth 1.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I just want the characters to return. I don't want alternate versions of them. So I would have a big problem with that if they just went to a different universe and brought them back.
Yeah. Well, that really concludes our discussion on MCU. Is there anything you want to add? Or?
That's all from me.
Yeah. Well, on behalf of both of us, we'd like to thank whoever's listening. We really appreciate it. We've had a really good time on our debut episode, and hopefully we'll be back probably in a fortnight.
They'll never be this long again, by the way.
No, this is probably as lengthy as it'll be, because obviously 20 plus films is quite a lot in a modern franchise. But next week in about 2 weeks time, we're going to discuss the Worlds of DC.
Worlds of DC, the dumb name that they gave to the DCU.
It should be the DCU.
Yeah.
So not as much films that time, but it should be a shorter run time. But right now we have to go to see Shazam, which is the latest entry to the Worlds of DC, shall we call it?
Yeah. So if anyone made it to the end of this,
you deserve a medal.
Yeah. Please subscribe and leave a comment.
We're desperate.
Even if we get, you know, a small amount of views, a small amount of comments, hopefully if you have any questions for us, we could answer them next week.
Yeah.
We'd love to do a comment section of the podcast.
Definitely.
That'd be great.
So thank you very much for listening, guys. Really.
It's impossible. Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.